So we're in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal. We're just engaged in our alternative spiritual practice of protesting against Unitarian Universalist injustices, abuses, and hypocrisy. And we got a few people arising here.
Okay.
So just having a look here. Seem to be dispersing. So yeah, 5 people showed up at the same time. Oh, it looks like there's another one going in the back way. I think I know who that might be. So yeah, some faces I haven't seen in some years actually. So that is interesting. Some people actually who have definitely played a role in the specific injustices, abuses, and hypocrisies that I'm protesting against. So people who are actual participants in one way or another in the issues that I'm protesting against, not just complicit bystanders, as it were. So I'm glad that they saw my protest is still ongoing. I really don't know when the last time they came to the Unitarian Church of Montreal is, but I'm glad that they showed up today when I was protesting, because I'm not protesting every single Sunday. Although I have to say that this year, in 2017, I've actually protested for most of the Sundays so far. There's only 2 or 3 that I've missed. So I got a pretty good track record this year. Anyhow, I'll just circulate a little bit here. The sensor in the camera was overheating, so I had to shut off the video for a little while to get the sensor to cool down, because if I didn't get the sensor to cool down, it would automatically shut off at some point when it got too hot. So when I see that it's overheating, I usually try to give it a break. Not always. If I think it looks like something's about to happen and I don't want to miss recording it, I'll keep it going in the hopes that it'll record the event that I think is worth filming, and hope that it won't shut off automatically in the middle of it. But as a rule, if I see the thermometer sign on the back of the camera indicating the sensor's overheating, I'll turn off the camera for a few minutes to let it cool down so it can record without interruption later. So somebody's showing up with a bike here. And by that I mean someone showing up at the church with a bike. Not sure if it's someone who okay. There was somebody who got annoyed with me a couple of months ago. I thought it might be the same person, but it isn't. So we'll just continue to circulate. But one person locking their bike a few months ago now, he got really upset, that I was filming, and said I had no right to do so, and so on and so forth. And I said, well, actually, I think I do. I've got some very good reasons to be recording my protest, not the least of them being to protect myself from false accusations brought against me by Montreal Unitarians. Also to record any assaults on me or thefts of my picket signs and so on. So to record any bad behavior and even criminal behavior on the part of Montreal Unitarians. So there's some very good reasons to have the camera running pretty well constantly. And it's really funny because I wasn't even pointing the camera at her when she got uppity with me. She was sort of off in the left corner of a fairly wide angle shot, but because the camera was pointing more or less in her direction, she started shrieking at me, "Hey, you have no right to do that," that kind of thing, so I just zoomed in on her and said, well, no, actually I think I do. And just in terms of documentary video, I think just within the context of documenting the video, regardless of whether I'm documenting, some criminal act or something, I do believe that within the context of documentary video that I have a right to film without permission. I just got a rather disparaging look from this woman going by. I don't know if it showed up in the upper part of the frame, probably not, because we were quite close, but she sort of gave me this if looks could kill kind of look. So anyhow, just continue to circulate here and make room for the pedestrians coming by here. Plenty of car traffic this morning. Seems to be quite a bit higher than normal for a Sunday morning. Got a jogger here. Had a few joggers this morning. And ever since they put in the bike lane in front of the church, you get plenty of bike traffic on Sunday morning. So got basically a new audience. I mean, there always were some bikes that went by, but you know, now that there's an actual bike trail, the amount of bicycle traffic that goes directly in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal has increased significantly. So in terms of the public aspect of this protest, in terms of members of the non-Unitarian public seeing my picket signs, we're doing quite well this morning. And I got a few more people coming this way. Just gonna check my camera and make sure it's not overheating. Oh, there's a few people on the bus had a little peek. So let's see here. Oh yeah, no sign of overheating. It's still recording all right. So I'll just continue to circulate here. Just shift off to the right to allow these people to pass.
Morning.
Good morning. It's always a good morning when I'm accused of blasphemy by Unitarians. Doesn't get much better than that. Truly a unique honor and privilege. An atheist Unitarians at that. So I got this woman who is entering the church. She sees me, she says, good morning. And, whenever anyone says good morning, whether they're Unitarians or not, I like to respond, oh, it's always a good morning when I stand accused of blasphemy in the 21st century by atheist Unitarians. I mean, variations on that. So I find it very, I don't know what the word is, certainly humorous. I mean, it's humorous to the point of ludicrousness, that in the 21st century, atheist Unitarians are accusing me of blaspheming against the Unitarian Universalist religious community because I blogged about some of their pedophiles and rapists. I mean, that's on the one level quite hilarious, and on the other hand quite despicable and disgusting that they would actually misuse blasphemy law to hide pedophilia and rape. That was their intention. They wanted me to remove blog posts that tell the readily verifiable truth about Unitarian Universalists who are charged, tried, and convicted of such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. So we got someone in the Volkswagen Beetle who was briefly looking back to have a look at the signs. So we shall just walk down and then walk back. But yeah, it truly is a unique honor and privilege. I mean, there's very, very few people in Canada who in the 21st century have been accused of violating Canada's blasphemy law. Although I've heard that there was a recent blasphemous libel charge brought against someone by the SPVM. That's the Montreal police force, the Service de Police de la Ville de Montréal. According to fairly reliable reports from people I know on social media, including a Montreal lawyer, the SPVM actually did charge a person with blasphemous libel because they had put up anti-police posters or stickers or something. As I understand it, sanity kicked in and the blasphemous libel charge was very quickly dropped. But it was there for a little while, so somebody was actually charged with blasphemous libel by the SPVM, if the information I've received is reliable, and I'm pretty sure it is. And this was for putting up, anti-police posters or stickers or whatever, but basically an anti-police kind of. So who knew that the Service de la Police de la Ville de Montreal considered itself to be a religion? I mean, anyone who knows anything about blasphemy laws is that they're applicable to religions, not, secular institutions like the police. So whoever was stupid enough to bring blasphemous libel charges against someone for putting up anti-police posters probably shouldn't be a police officer, or at least needs some retraining or additional training, because it's just ludicrous that the SPVM would actually arrest someone and charge them with blasphemous libel, the Criminal Act of Blasphemous Libel, Section 196 of the Canadian Criminal Code, or until recently, it's supposed to be repealed. I don't know if it's actually being repealed or if it's still in the process of being repealed. I really haven't been able to determine if it's like literally fully repealed or if it's still sort of in the process of being repealed. But certainly an act was put in front of Parliament which included the repeal of Canada's blasphemy law. A little bit after the SPVM did this ridiculous thing. I believe the SPVM charge against someone for blasphemous libel took place in April of this year, so quite recently. And the repeal of the blasphemy law, I think, was first announced, I think, in June. Might have been earlier, might have been May, but I'm pretty sure it was June. I can't remember the exact date. It was announced that the government was repealing a whole bunch of so-called zombie laws that basically can't really be enforced and shouldn't be enforced, laws that may be unconstitutional and so on. And Canada's blasphemy law was one of them. So I'm getting a sidelong look from this person entering the church. Guess she doesn't like the fact that I'm standing here with picket signs protesting against Unitarian Universalist perversion of justice, but that's what it says on the picket signs. And yes, falsely accusing a person of the Criminal Act of Blasphemous Libel in illegal bullying intended to conceal such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape committed by certain Unitarian Universalist ministers is, in every sense of the word, a perversion of justice. But it's by no means the only perversion of justice that Unitarian Universalists are guilty of. Montreal Unitarians have brought other false criminal charges against me. I was actually charged with violating Section 176.3 of the Canadian Criminal Code, which prohibits disrupting the order and solemnity of religious services. So Montreal Unitarians somehow persuaded some less than competent SPVM police officers to have me arrested on the charge of disrupting the order and solemnity of church services, even though my protest takes place outside the church, is generally very quiet, is pretty well invisible from inside the church, and so on. And there's really no valid reason to have me arrested and charged. But they were trying to find ways to force an end to my protest, and they somehow persuaded someone at Station 12 to send an officer to arrest me. And I took about 3 years worth of different court dates to finally be acquitted of that completely bogus criminal charge. That's another way that the Montreal Unitarians specifically have tried to pervert justice. It's, again, not the only way, and not all of the perversion of justice that I'm talking about is in terms of misusing the actual criminal justice system, or civil justice system for that matter. The criminal code, civil code, but within the context of the church itself, within the terms of internal, handling of clergy misconduct complaints and so on, I am by no means the only person who has seen Unitarian Universalists essentially pervert justice in one way or another. So Got somebody coming out of the car here. Oh, it looks like an out-of-town license plate from the look of things. So, somebody looking at the picket sign. Red numbers. That's, is it Alberta? Not sure what that plate is, but it's not a Quebec plate. Oh, here's Harvey. Shepherd, Gazette, the religion columnist. Hey Harvey, I just reread that article you wrote so many years ago. Yeah. So Harvey, years ago, when he was the religion columnist for the Montreal Gazette, actually wrote an article about my revelatory religious experience, which revealed to me via a series of extremely unusual coincidences, amongst other things, that it pretty well isn't a coincidence that our moon is able to totally eclipse our sun, and in doing so, when the moon is totally covering the sun and revealing the sun's corona, producing something that looks very much like an eye staring down from the sky. The circle of the moon resembles the pupil, obviously, and then the filament-like structure, hair-like structure of the corona radiating out all around the moon looks very much like the muscle structure of the iris of an eye. So essentially, you have something that looks like the pupil and iris of an eye up there in the sky during totality. I brought this to the attention of various religious groups, including the Unitarians eventually. But I also brought it to the attention of the media. You try getting a story